Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Masterclass series brought to you by Top Empowerment and OTTC. Today we're talking about the introduction of two ways of the education system, from school leaver to tradesman, and we're going to talk a little bit around skills, an amazing initiative called Skills City Africa. I'd just like to introduce you to our guest today. We've got Isolde Dobelin, who's the director of OTTC. OTTC was founded in 1992, so many years ago it's been going, and it was born out of a dream for Isolde and her husband to address the shortage of vocational training skills in South Africa, specifically in the refrigeration and air conditioning sector. They have been recognized internationally, locally, and by neighboring countries for their training excellence. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Our next guest is Rory Macnamara. He is the director of Interact Media Defined. You may very well know some of their trade media publications that they run, the Record Journal specifically. And then we have Karsten Beermann, who is from Germany, coming from all the way from Germany. The rest of us are in South Africa. And he is the director principal of the International College for Refrigeration, Air Conditioning, and Energy Technology. So welcome, everybody. I'm just gonna stop my screen sharing there. So today we're just gonna talk about a couple of things on the agenda. I think one is there is quite a serious, what we've identified talking amongst our panelists, a serious gap in the higher education sector. And what, firstly, Karsten and Isolde are doing to address this gap in the training curriculum at the moment. And then so we'll hear some fascinating insights from Karsten around lifelong learning programs that he's implemented and are working with in South Africa with Isolde. And most importantly, I think at the end, we're going to end with Isolde and something which is how we can create a sustainable, environmentally friendly, self-containing city through trades. And Isolde is going to walk us a little bit through something called the Africa Skills City. So first, I'm going to go to Rory. Rory, being in the media, I think has got some insights on some of the things that are happening currently at the moment, especially when it comes to the kind of gaps in higher education. So Rory, welcome this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Karla. Thanks, participants. I'm playing a little bit of a disruptor role, simply because coming from a media perspective, one, and covering a whole range of skills, we see what we politely call them gaps in the Department of Higher Education. They're not, they're actually chasms. And in our discussion yesterday when we sat as panelists, Karla decided that I was going to talk about what all is bad and the rest will do the good stuff. And thinking about that, it's actually not all about what's bad, it's how we can do things better. Yes. And what is important there is that government, and particularly higher education, must understand that they are an enabler. They are not equipped to run businesses. And they have a brilliant track record of how not to run businesses. And it's very sad that our students, our young people, the future of this country, are being so poorly treated by the Department of Higher Education, in that they just not work. The government is not working with industry. The government is not listening to industry. And my own limited experience with TVET colleges, for one, I'll come to private colleges later, is that the TVET colleges have been crying for industry to help them with their curriculum. and bring in important things like these standards that we all operate on. And these poor youngsters come out of there, they don't even know what a national standard is. And that's just unacceptable. Yesterday, I had to throw my original talk away because yesterday, and I'm delighted this happened, the South African Students' Congress and a whole lot of very important bodies in the education and youth section embarked on a National Day protest. Fundamentally on the, and I quote, the outdated learning material and funding. It is, and I continue the quote, it is as a result of the arrogance, these are the students, the arrogance displayed by some premiers and the presidency, and it went on to finally conclude to say that they wish to shut down all institutions of higher education. There is concern out there just on that. And in essence, what the students are saying, and they are better to say what they're saying than I could ever be, is for TVETs to be an integral part of the skills structure rather than being a stepchild. Folks, this is all coming from the students, and I feel for them because I have seen students set up to fail because of the lack of commitment by government whose desire to control everything that moves, but they don't do it well. As far as the private colleges are concerned, what I am seeing is that in cases, most of them are reducing their activities and skills training because of this huge convoluted system that higher education has created. And the protests carry on, and I quote, a total revamp of the curriculum of TVET colleges as it is outdated and does not prepare students for future employment. And that is a very critical thing. Dr. Nzimande, the minister, has stated on many occasions, and many occasions in my presence as well, that we have 4 graduates and only 1 skill coming out. It should be the other way around. Now, it would be nice if he actually took what he is saying and put that into practice. And then we're going to give our youngsters a lot of time, because at the moment we have a whole lot of graduates out there who are unemployed. So they refer, pleasingly enough, to places like Germany. Successful individuals are TVET equivalent, trained and fully equipped for employment. And this is no coincidence that this is happening now. So I'm very grateful to the students for having actually written my speech for me. My other aspect, because I know we have time restraints here, is of course world skills, which in 1994, when democracy came to this country, world skills was pushed to one side by education department as a luxury this country could not afford. Today we see it as a little tea party rather than the powerful training opportunity this provides. And, you know, when world skills was then revived, an attempt to revive it by the services CETA and the CETA, Dr. Ada Blumenthal and Raymond Patel, it started working and picking up, and industry started getting involved again. It was then taken over by the Department of Higher Education, and industry was literally pulled out of it, pushed out of it. So this is not just a competition. This is the highest skills training event where the cream of the crop compete against each other, and they learn from each other. So, you know, as with skills and young people being acknowledged, Department of Higher Education must step up now and engage all players. Otherwise, we are heading for one awful bit of trouble. And I can only refer back to the students' protest of yesterday. Karla, I don't know if you're going to put up the web address I gave you, or shall I mention now?
Yes, no, I think it was careersportal.co.za, and it was the SASCO Embark on Protests headline.
I really believe participants, it'd be worthwhile reading, because nothing better than coming out of the mouths of students as to their frustrations and the impact that those frustrations are going to have on the industry. So really, in conclusion of the disruptive idea, young people need to be shown that they are important and qualify with strategic skills that make architects and engineers' designs work. Now to Africa Skills City, modeled on the IKKE in Germany, which Karsten will be talking to, and such a project that throws every traditional old-fashioned thing that we have become used to out of the window, at a commitment by a very, 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 very committed person like Isolde and her late husband Peter. And we can only get excited about this type of innovation, commitment that Africa Skills City will bring, which Isolde will speak to. But I say it for three reasons. It's multi-skilled integration, it's community awareness, and it is empowerment in the true sense of the word. Thank you, Karla.
Thank you, Rory. I mean, I saw that article, and there were a couple of demands. I think there was 5 or 10 demands that those students made, right? And how, I mean, with those demands, Rory, looking at from an actual skills trade perspective, are those demands that are they fair? Are they just? Are they? Did you see them? Do you know what I'm referring to?
Yes, no, look, they put in 15 demands.
Yeah.
It's a certificate issue. We all have certificates, courtesy of the CETAs, which we have created a nasty animal there. Student accommodation, which my sister publication in affordable housing, we know that student accommodation is there, but it is. These kids travel from way out places in South Africa, and you know, they end up sleeping next to a fence in Joubert Park or something. It's disgraceful. Having said that, in fairness, the provinces are doing as much as they can within the funds that are allowed, but that's not an excuse for not giving student accommodation. Infrastructure impacts on that as well. Obviously, and funding is very important. So that's not an unreasonable. They want to be put at the same level as the student funding thing, not just for graduates. And they want an equal funding model. It's as simple as that. And I don't believe it is an unfair request. Inclusion of more disciplines. Well, that comes with how the TVET colleges and the private colleges respond to the need. But again, government must enable, business, industry must do it. And curriculum, which I think is the biggest problem. So no, I don't believe the demands are unreasonable.
Thank you, Rory. I'm going to go to Karsten, because this really is leading on to what you're involved in, and highly impressive. And I must say, up until us discussing this recently, I did not admittedly know what a dual vocational education system was. And I just want to emphasize that this is a highly recognized worldwide curriculum of combination of training embedded in the real life and work environment, right? And this has been extremely successful in Germany. So over to you, Karsten.
Yeah, Karla, thank you very much, and welcome to all participants. Karla, if you will be so nice, if you share your screen with the dual vocational, we can start. You know, as Rory also mentioned, and Karla, I'm the head of the IKKE. It's a technical college, the training center, and we are belonging to the guild. Actually, we are responsible for around about more than 700 students who work in our region. Our region we represent, it's around Düsseldorf, it's around Cologne, and we represent the refrigeration trade here in Germany as a part. We are one of the biggest training center we have here in Germany, and we are, what I mentioned, fully involved in this trade. And if we talk about our dual vocational training system we have here in Germany, and which is really very successful, then you must understand that we have companies which are able to employ young students who want to come into this trade. So the students have to work there for 3.5 years, and so they will be trained by somebody who is responsible within the enterprise, and he will accompany him the 3.5 years. But parallel, there is support of a vocational school. A vocational school is, we talk about in Germany, it's a Berufsschule. So the students have each year around about 12 to 14 weeks additional parallel to their employment in the company to go to this vocational school. This is only for theoretical support in the learning phase. And what here is not mentioned here in the structure, parallel, we have in Germany also organized technical colleges like IKKE, some other schools we have here in Germany who are responsible to support this process with yearly extra 2 weeks practical learning course, which is, for example, for brazing, or a special course for electricians, or for the components in a refrigeration system, or at least also environmental discussion of preventing or handling refrigerants, and of course have to control the system. So in the technical colleges, we are mainly focusing on training courses to support this process parallel to the vocational school, and responsibility in the training in the enterprise. After the 3.5 years, at least, you have to go through an examination in theory and praxis, and then you become a journeyman. This examination will happen in our school. So we are responsible to organize at least examinations in practice, and in combination with the vocational school, we offer, of course, then the theoretical test. And after the 3.5 years, it's quite a long time, of course, but then you become a journeyman, a refrigeration craftsman, we can say, and then you are quite good prepared to do the service, the maintenance on refrigeration systems, on air conditioning system, and also on heat pump systems. And maybe after a while you have an idea to say, hey, I want more. I want to become an owner of a company. I like to go to the next study phase, and like to become a master craftsman, a German Meister. which is necessary to really be able to found your own company, and you want to like to make your own business, then you must to have to go to this training process, additional training process. So on one hand, you must show you have some kind of already good experience, and then you can extend your technical and theoretical knowledge, and also thinkings about economy and handling your money on the right side. And then if you are prepared for this, you can become a Meister, and with the Meister at the end, in Karla, if you go a little bit higher, yeah, with the screen, yeah, thank you. Okay, it's good, good. Then maybe we can discuss, you are then a self-acting entrepreneur. Huh? So you are able to found your own company, and with the master degree, you are allowed to do this. Especially in a refrigeration trade, it's necessary to have this. Otherwise, it's not allowed, because it's in our trade, we're handling electricity, we're handling dangerous components and dangerous substances. And therefore, it's a duty to have this background. Otherwise, you are not allowed to make your own business. Maybe parallel, it's maybe two other ways. If you go via other technical schools and university level, then you can become a diploma engineer, or maybe at least a master. And of course, with this background, you're also allowed to do this business, and you can ask to found your own company. Or maybe on another side, only with a technical school, you can be a state examination manager. So that means also you must show experience after your journeyman and degree, and then you extend your level. And so on 2-3 ways, you are able to reach this status to be really at the end on the way to make your own business and take over lots of responsibilities. So as a self-acting entrepreneur. And with this, you are allowed to educate the young students. Yeah? So you can employ now, like you have the same, your own experience, and then now you are the master. And with the master, you have also the ability to train young students, to follow them and bring them also up to the level of journeyman. So it's a quite long time, and then lots of experience at the end to be really responsible to sell systems which are on a high level constructed, on a high level working, and hopefully on a good level of saving energy, and of course, at last consequence, saving our environment. So, Karla, if you move to the PowerPoint we have available.
Yeah, just give me a second.
I want to go also to just give some words to how we are organized in our trade. Yeah, just a moment, and you will see this.
You got
pictures.
it?
Yeah, it takes a while if it is moving.
Pause. Resume share. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming now.
Maybe you have to close the PDF.
Let's just.
Otherwise, then later to share the screen again.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, now you share the screen again and then open the PowerPoint. Maybe it's not acceptable to move from one. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. So I already discussed our dual and explained the dual vocational system. If you go to the next slide, then we have. I have some words about our trade organization. In Germany, we are in that way organized that we have, on one hand, regional groups of companies who are organized regional, maybe here around Cologne and Düsseldorf. We call it KIN. It's this region of North Rhine. And on the other hand, we have the German head organization. This is about our Bundesinnungsverband, BIV, where all the regional guilds are under this roof. So they speak at the end. with the politicians, with the government, and say, hey, we have something in our trade, some need, some discussion, what is maybe environmental problems, what is our business, what can we change, and they are the president of this BIV, Mr. Baumeister, was already also in South Africa, visited last year with me together the OTTC, and he is well informed about the project of OTTC Skills South Africa, Skills City. And yes, so we are very in close contact and have the discussion and bring our interest to the government. And if we have some problems with our curricula or whatever, then we are in the position to decide with the government, also with some influence of our industry. We can influence our government and are in the position to bring this hopefully on the right way. So the group of companies who at least as company employ young technician, what I mentioned before, as a Meister, you are able to educate and support this learning process. And at the end, this guild, where we are belonging to, a regional guild here in this area, we are responsible to organize the examination. So we have the jury. I'm also, as a member of the jury, responsible to organize the examination. With this, we organize theoretical and practical examination after 3.5 years. Or also, we are in the position to train the master students. And at the end, I'm also in the jury to organize the examination for the master classes. So this is an additional learning phase, for example, in theory and practice in this field for 1,200 hours. It's also another long time to go through. After this, you are able to pass this examination and then able to be the master and are able to take over the responsibilities. What Rory mentioned is also we can discuss worldwide world skills activities. Isolde, for example, is responsible from OTTC side for South Africa, and the first competitor was a student in her college and was 99 in Montreal. So since that time, I also know the OTTC activities, and I'm a supporter in a special way, and a good friend and a good partner and cooperation partner with OTTC, and we have the same way to organize our ideas to bring up a high standard, a high technical knowledge to really do good work and good maintenance and service work in the field. So in world skills, we have some good standard specification in each skill. So we are just discussing refrigeration and air conditioning. So in this standard specification, questions behind and activities behind which says, hey, what is the need to know and understand? For example, you must know how an expansion valve is functioning, or how the compressor is running. And at the end, you must be able to do this. Shall be able to set up or set an expansion valve, set up a superheat, or set up a subcooling, and so on. At least as a consequence to maintain the compressor on the right side, that he will not fail in very soon. So this is quite good organized in world skills. And with this world skills activities since years, the history of world skills is coming up from 1950s. Especially a crazy thing is, or a very nice thing is, that in our technical college in 1961, the first international competition in our technical college, I was at that time 3 years old, happened here in our school. This was at that time the Krupp Education Center, worldwide known. So I'm very, very close to this history of world skills. And in the past, and actually I'm the expert for Germany in this field for refrigeration in the scale 38. And I was several times chief expert and was responsible to organize for world skills competition, especially for Abu Dhabi or Brazil, or also in Germany, in Leipzig. And there at World Skills, we have a technical description. A technical description for each skill is necessary to describe everything around a skill competition, how to organize a skill competition. So we have this available worldwide, a good standard which we can follow. So also for South Africa, it's of course a good way also to follow these ideas, which is defined and described in World Skills activities. And if you go to the next slide, Karla, we also, if we speak about the competence of personnel, it's very, very important, of course, to discuss this knowledge and this competence worldwide, or maybe first time if we come from Germany, European-wide. It's not, refrigeration is everywhere the same. Yeah, we have to handle the system, and we like to have a cold room, or we like to have cold water for air conditioning. And to define these competences, we can also follow a European standard 13313, which we find there the competences defined. For example, if you like to be a technician and you want to handle CO2, or you want to handle ammonia, or you want to handle propane. Now, these natural fluids, which are very important for the next future, going away from the F gases and CFCs, where we discuss our global warming, etc. So now we handle in the future more and more dangerous substances in that way that we have to handle flammable refrigerants or toxic or with high pressure, for example with CO2. You must know what kind of competences, what dimensions of competences you need, and with this you must organize curricula, you must organize a training process, and at the end you must follow and pass an examination to show this, that you are able to do this. And this is worldwide, of course, the same discussion. This discussion is not only in Germany or Europe, it's in South Africa, is in also in America, or also in India or China. So we are happy that we are on the way also to move this European standard, which we have already since 2011. This was the year where this first time was opened. In that dimension, we have it now. And I know this very well because actually I'm the convener of this standard and this activities, convener of this working group, where we move these ideas now to the world-wide idea. And because in the next near future, we discuss the ISO 22712, where this European standard is moved to a worldwide standard, to an ISO standard, that we can follow a standard. We can use it in South Africa as a good background, a good base to say, this we like to have, these competences we have to follow, and with these ideas we have to organize a good training system. And at the end, it's a question, you can organize a training system for 2 days, a very short course, but you understand that in Germany, we like to have 3.5 years. Maybe in South Africa, we have to discuss, can we do this in 1 month? Can we do this in 2 months? This is the question. The question is, what should be the outcome? What dimension is necessary to follow a good curricula, to follow a good training process, and at the end you must be able to do a really good proper work. You must know how you could find failures in the system. You must know, you must be able to repair this, and at the end the customer must be happy. Yes, his system is good running. He is happy he has a good cold room. He is happy he has cold water for air conditioning process, for example, with environmentally friendly substances. So we are really, since I'm working in this trade and in this area since '83. Maybe I'm a little bit old, maybe I look not so old, but I hope I can support this process in the next near future and support OTTC with these activities, bring this experience to South Africa, support this process, and hopefully we are very successful with ideas. So for the moment, you see our main entrance of IKKE. Thank you very much for the attention.
Karsten, thank you very much. And so is it just by chance that you have a female leader in your country that is doing so well? I'm just joking with you. Karsten, no, thank you very much. I think this is, in South Africa, and I've been working on a brand that we've run for 20 years now, which is called Top Empowerment, right? And I think the key driver to that is skills. And it seems that I don't know why Isolde is kind of the only one championing this, because it really should be a system that should be embedded in our country. We have, I think what I'm seeing is it's so geared to responsible entrepreneurship. That's kind of the takeaway that I took from it. But thank you. So Isolde, you have worked with Karsten for some time. I mean, we spoke very briefly yesterday about it. And you are a big advocate and champion of the German system in South Africa. So, and then something even, let me just stop sharing my screen there for a second, but then even something gone further than that is you've created a vision which is creating something called Africa Skills City. So Isolde, do you want to can I hand over to you and you give us a bit of background and just introduce us into what this is all about?
Okay, thank you, Karla, and all my participants, Karsten and Rory, to help me to bring that thing out. OTTC was founded in '92 for my husband and myself, and our daughter assisted us too, because we did see the shortage of training in refrigeration. My husband was a master refrigeration, air conditioning and heating, and I had my Betriebswirt, which is the MBA for actually entrepreneurs. I was on the second course at all in Germany when they invented it. And that has given me a lot of confidence to start things like this. I also, with this certificate, that was my entry ticket to Robert Bosch to start a job. Even I couldn't even speak English, but I got the job to start the Robert Bosch Training Center for automotive and do all the admin and all the invitation and handling the programs and so on. And from there on, I did that for 11 years. And I did see how we can adapt that to our own trade for refrigeration. And that has given us the idea to start a training center. And sure, it's a long way from '92 to now. If I go on, then we're still talking tomorrow. I will short bring that what is important. We invented a training program. Surely we kept always our German standard. And the trainings program which we actually invented was similar to the Bosch structure for automotive, because it's a proven structure and Bosch Training Center is worldwide, and it makes sense how we structured our training, that we can start from the school level, learn them not only the basics of the trade, learn them a wider training, especially hand skills, so that they can start in any other trade as well. The big problem in South Africa is already when they come, they have no feeling for nothing. They cannot measure, they don't know what a liter or a centimeter or whatever is. And we have to train them from that they understand how to produce the job on the end. So we structured our training just to bring them up on a good level that they can perform perfectly. And we have the beginner's course, which takes care of the basics, very basics. And then we have the maintenance technician, where they already understand the system and can do a good assistant to the technician. And then we go over to train them up for technicians. And when we say technicians, the outcome must be that they can install a new plant, they can maintain, they can repair, they can fault finding. The company can give him a bucket and can say, go and do. Everything is covered. So when they come out, but still working under supervision, because they cannot fully design a plant. But when I say they build a plant, then it's our test for that is building a complete plant, including the electrical panel, everything. They get a wiring diagram and they get the specification, what is needed in the cold room. They get all the parts and all the tools, and then we leave them. They have 2 days to do the job. On the end, they must also do a commissioning report and everything on paper, all the theory as well, all the settings, and that is our test. Then we are confident that they can go out and be with a company. Surely they should be employed in the meantime to get the practical side from the job. So our courses are designed in weekly programs, so they can always, on Friday is the test of the week, and pass mark is 60%, and then they can follow up. Should they not reach 60% from 55 to 60, they can rewrite the test. Otherwise, they must do the course again, because we say the half you don't know anyway. And the first redo is for free, because we want them to be qualified on the end. And so we have a very good success rate on that. Also, we don't ask for any entry papers or whatever. I say to them, you wanted to do that, you must pull your weight and you must see how to get there. And if they have, for instance, a bit problem with dyslexic or whatever, we found out quickly. And then I sit with them, I talk to them, and I say, okay, you do the test first in writing, then we see where you stay. But if you can't really match, we see that then too, then we do verbally test. And very often in the verbally test and practical test, they reach higher points than the others, because they just have another way of expressing themselves in education. They're very practically related. It's amazing what you can get out of them. They're very clever, but they're very shy, because that handicap through the school, they're always stamped dumb or whatever, because they're not doing that like the other people doing so. But we have a very high success rate with these guys also. For instance, we also provide a trade course 2 weeks for free for school leavers to find out if they want to go this a trades way or what they can do. And I must say, I've been always surprised of the outcome. Very surprised. We have, they're building projects, you won't believe it. Last time we had a group of 9, and this group there was a holiday in the 2 weeks and I couldn't finish off. Then I said, okay, you get another week, and then build something which I actually like to have. And it was, I showed them a photo from Germany. It was a steel pipe. They cut out flaps, and on each flap there was an artisan sitting. So I showed them the picture. I went, in the meantime, I went to Germany. Mr. Beermann had the function. And when I came back, that thing was finished. I couldn't believe it. It was such a nice project. And if you just consider these guys never had a tool in the hand or never did no soldering or anything, you come and you give them and you let them do. And what came out? That everybody built an artisan and put that on the tower. Amazing, amazing. There is a lot of potential out there, and we're wasting that with the youngsters. They just sit there and don't know what to do. And so I motivate them always in the right direction. Some of them, mostly, they only know the cell phone. They hang on the cell phone like mad when they come in, and they can't live without it. And and then I say that thing must go away. And after a few days, they are so motivated. The ones that came to me and said, "It's very funny. I don't look at my cell phone anymore. I just think refrigeration. Everything is that way." So you can motivate them. They don't even know they have a brain because they're directed always by media. They're entertained when they grow up already, and they don't know that they can use the head. So by doing practical things, they discover themselves also. And then they are so motivated, they really go ahead. For instance, all my skills participants, which I had, it's very funny. One day I looked through and I thought, my goodness, all these skills participants came from family business, mostly family business or at least families. And they were so motivated, they really went through, and I could bring them up to the skills competition. And the family business or the entrepreneur are always not really taken serious. But in a family business or in an entrepreneur business, you must know more than if you go in a factory or whatever. On the other jobs, you only learn one side. But if you have a family business, you have to take care of everything. I think you know that too. You also have a family business. There is no excuse. You just have to do it. And that is actually the better people. And that's also was my idea of the skilled city. My idea from the skilled city came actually from Germany. When my son should be born, my husband put me back to his mother, and I lived with the mother-in-law. Anyway, but that city is a stunning city, a little city, only had 1,700 people at that time. And I looked around now because of our training center. How was that city run? Everything was done by entrepreneurs. You had everything in walking distance. Everybody worked together. The whole city was entrepreneurs. And not only this, in the evening, we had also sport clubs, music clubs, entertainment, you name it. Everything was taken care of. There was no crime. Nobody had time for that. And if somebody misbehaved, you know who it is, and you put him straight. And that actually has given me the idea for Skill City. We bought that land, I think it was 90, 98, 99 or whatever, because they wanted to build low-cost housing direct on our wall. And then we said to them, if you want to build that, then you must also provide power and sanitation and everything. Then the municipality said, no, we haven't got the money, and stopped the project. So then we was able from the developer to buy that land. We said, if something happens, at least we have a buffer zone. So now I have the 7 hectares since then, never been used, it's farmland. And I thought, why not extending it and build a self-containing little city, skilled city. We will extend our school to other trades, and so that the people also can be multi-skilled, because in where we come from, in a small city, you can't make a living from one trade. You must be flexible. You must have more. And so I thought then we can move the people around from one section to the other section, which sometimes is related, because in refrigeration you already have a couple of trades. You have electrician, you have, like, you could do plumbing, you could do any pipe fittings or whatever. So we can open that up and make them multi-skilled. And I have really something to go forward. And I can relocate in any area. Also, I thought of an idea. When we build them up, I will have some containers where we move the people in, because it's common now that some people live in containers. They can have one container to live in and one container as a workshop. When they're really qualified, they can take the containers and move anywhere in a rural area and immediately can set up a business. Also, I thought, because not everybody can really run a full business, we will organize a franchisee business where they always can come back and have the support from the school. Whatever they can't do, they can outsource to our school or to the skilled city, and they can also source for new students to give them an apprenticeship or whatever, that they really can grow nicely and is taken care of. That is most, and for also what we put in is all the trades which a city actually need. All like plumbing, like water treatment, which is very important, and air conditioning, refrigeration, sanitation, everything. Also, because we need food. We grow our own vegetables, we grow our own thing, have our own free lobe chicken, because that other stuff don't test anymore. And so my idea is also building a big hotel, because I need accommodation for the guys. And also in the hotel, we should have a little bit of sport entertainment, and so building an ice ring and a pool, because I want to use that for the people for training. We can, when you produce cooling, you get free heating. So we can use the ice ring to heat up the pool. And there is heat pump systems which we can then train the people on. Also, we have all the air conditioning in the hotel, all these things. Then I have surely groundwater. We can use borehole water. We can treat the water properly. Everything is there. And we have the sun. We can use solar. We can train the people on solar. So everything is self-containable, the whole city. And it's not too big, so we can easy train the people and show everything what is possible in our city. I'm not. You have question?
No, Isolde, I think I now understand why Rory is so behind you when he's the African Skills City. I think you've done something. When you say practical skills training, it is really what you have done, taken it down, you know. And Rory, I tend to agree. We've got these high-level ideas in terms of what government institutions and even probably private sector and even the media talk about in terms of developing skills in our country. And you're really taking it right down to the core in terms of reintroducing what a centimeter is, and how do we get those with dyslexia through. You've solved pretty much every man-made problem there is. No, really. So I think the question is, and maybe you don't have the answer, but I think the question is not to you, I think it's to general society and industry, is how do we take that, how do we accelerate it, and how do we roll it out across the African continent or any other sort of third country. I mean, I imagine, I don't know if Germany would have faced, that hundreds of years ago is the kind of poverty that Africa and South Africa faces, to have to solve those problems. They seem very good at it, and we're learning a lot from them, but we have created new challenges for them to probably assist us in helping solve, So I think the idea, and there's a couple of questions, Isolde, and it's not, Minna says here, is there any relationship between Africa Skills City and manufacturing CETA? They have a great program, just need accreditation and or recognition. I would imagine that's for more than MER-CETA, over and above that. So do you have relationships with the CETAs?
I actually forgot something.
Yes.
I want in our skill city at least 3 factories on the place, which is related to our trades, so we can send. I'm thinking of a boarding school. Then they're at OTTC for maybe a year or 2 to go through everything, and when they're not at school, they can go into the factory and get the experience from work.
Yeah.
That should be a relation between manufacturers and us. We want to manufacture things, and maybe we can also support the school from that.
How many students are you geared to accommodate in this current structure that you're looking at?
Okay, in the moment, it depends. The local might drive, but it depends. That hotel which we have designed so far already has 42 rooms. Then you can add on the containers. Then we have maybe in our area some guest houses which can accommodate also. And sure, we have space enough to build another accommodation block for students. There is no problem.
Fantastic. So, Rory, Justin has a question for you here, and it says, hi Rory, thank you for joining us today. How can TVET colleges assist in lowering the youth unemployment rate? Do we need better skills training, or where can we all come together to keep mentioning the short? Rory, you keep mentioning the shortage of skills training. What skills training do you think, in your opinion, is needed more, and how can the Department of Education come to the party?
Thanks for the question. Very, very important. I'll go back to the beginning when I said government is an enabler. So they've got to set the scene in consultation with various stakeholders and partners. If I think of services CETA that are very active in the let's say hairdressing, catering, and that they're very good there. But our trade skills in plumbing, refrigeration, air conditioning, timber, and building is where the practical element should be increased a lot more in TVET rather than just the theoretical side. I saw a question come up about that, that we must reinforce the practical side. So we do need to accept that in consultation, all of us together, well, all of the stakeholders, will design or give TVET colleges, as well as the private colleges, they must not be forgotten about, that broader base from which to operate and not so restricted to A, B, C, D, this is how you will do it, but give them that flexibility to engage more with industry on a more let's say more relaxed way, because every area is different, every town is different, the needs are different, and these all need to be incorporated in how we educate people, be it through TVET, private, but it's based on the education system that is put out by government.
True.
I don't know if I answered the question, I got lost.
Okay, I think you did well enough. I mean, I've just got a comment that I'd like to add in that James has said, think students enrolling in TVET should appreciate first technical courses are practical based and not limited to what institutions tutor. The yearning to learn, grow and achieve new skills should not be overlooked. And I think, Isolde, you've done that very well, you know, understanding that it's not a CV based position, it's the ability to want to learn and develop themselves.
I must say we're not stopping at the apprentice, and we have top-up courses which we call our technical diplomas. When we finish with apprenticeship, then we look at what area they might be employed, or we have top-up courses. We give them the technical diploma, which is then more in the industrial refrigeration. We have the air conditioning diploma, which goes on central units and central system. And we have the ammonia diploma. That is actually the best we have, because we invented that in '93. Ammonia was at that time phasing out because they had the other refrigerants and the plants was more economically to build. But ammonia, if you have an ammonia plant, they can run for 50 years. If you maintain them nicely, there is no problem. But the investment is a problem in the beginning, because you need to invest a little bit more. And I can say through our training, which we did on the ammonia side, we have in the meantime more than 400 ammonia diploma holders, and they work all over in the world because everybody has a job immediately. They really can go anywhere. And also what we achieved with that, South Africa or Southern Africa has not so many accidents in ammonia, because everybody think ammonia is a dangerous refrigerant. It's not, because ammonia, I call it, it's the best, because when you have the smallest leak, you smell it, you run and you fix it. And Rory, it's true, huh? But the technician should know what to do. And that is the big problem. If you have unqualified people, or if they don't even understand ammonia, then surely you have a problem. And since we trained the people, my husband was an expert in ammonia when we came to South Africa. In Germany, he worked 11 years building dairies and breweries, and surely this was ammonia at that time. So he was a highly sought expert from that time. And when we came to South Africa, and he did see in the industry how much ammonia plants we actually have here, He said, I must invent an ammonia training course because these people don't know what they're doing and don't know how to handle that. So I've been proud. I don't know how many ammonia guys we already have, but as I said, over 400 diploma holders, which means they're qualified in everything. We also invented the ammonia safe handling course in 2004. Before we did that, I had an expert, the worldwide best ammonia expert, Mr. Anders Lindberg from Sweden, to give us a demonstration first, and we worked very closely with him together to invent that. Also from Germany, Professor Dr. Bote helped us. We sit together and we designed our ammonia diploma at that time. And at that time, actually, there was no ammonia training. Only one school in America did it. And Mr. Anders Lindberg also supported that school. So I can proudly say it's a good diploma, and everybody who comes out, they smile. And the ammonia guys, they are totally different to the normal refrigeration guys. We call him the king because they're really men.
Karla, can I add something?
Yeah.
I know how to do. So I fully agree what Isolde said, and the people must understand how we have to organize the education. It's at least a question what kind of application you like to have. If you look to the industry, and there's well-known ammonia, it's a toxic substance, and you must know what you are doing. But if you like to go to split units and want to have in a private house, a living room, have such a system with ammonia, you will not sleep there and you will not live there, because it's a question of what Isolde said. You will smell it very, very soon, and you don't like it. So it's depending on the application. Therefore, then you have to look, where should I use propane? Where should I use CO2? Where should I use F-gases? Every substance has his area where it's important. So you must be very flexible, and this is a question of how to organize the education system. Which kind of technician you like to have at the end. So if you like to have an ammonia boy, yes, you have to organize this training. And this is also the idea of our standard. The standard mention different competences. And it's a question of those who want to organize the training for a propane guy, who want to organize a CO2 guy. Maybe CO2, we will have it more and more in supermarket application, for example. Okay, then you have to create a supermarket technician. So, of course, it's a big area, and we include electricity, we include mechanics, we include knowledge about substances, thermodynamics, etc. It's very, very interesting and very, very important, this field, and very close relation to plumbing, close relation in what I said, electricity. So very good idea, and also with solar, voltaic, etc. These things are very close, and we can good combine this in this idea, skilled city, with different trades, and then you have to create different curricula for those who you want to create at the end and to build up. And of course, you must have to organize a frame for basics. With this basics, you can extend your knowledge, and you can go in the right way or left way or in the middle through whatever you want. And this is a question of, at the end, of a designer. You want to create a designer. This may be a high level, engineering level, the designer of refrigeration system. And he also must know what is good for my system, how efficient is the system, how environmental friendly is the system. And at the end, the technician must maintain this, must organize a good service, that the running time is maybe more than 10 years or 20 years, or 50 years is a long, long time. Normally, it's not the interest of our industry to have so long time living time. Maybe they want to sell it after 10 years or 20 years, a new system. But nevertheless, and it's also a question of communication with the customer. No? Also, the technicians must be able to bring these ideas, this knowledge little bit to the customer, that the customer must understand what is necessary for my system. Yes, it's better to maintain it than to wait if you have a failure and then you have a problem. Maybe you stop a total production process if your air conditioning or if your refrigeration system is not running. Huh? Then the damage is much higher than only the system is broken. You lose a lot of money of have lost lots of production. Yeah, so very, very interesting. And for example, here in Germany, and just to understand how our business, how our trade is growing, round about, I opened here IKKE and I took over the key from Krupp in 2003. And we moved this to this center to IKKE for refrigeration trade. And at that time, we were responsible for around about 280 students in our region. If you remember, now we are responsible for more than 700. So besides this, I have an accommodation. I'm a good hotel manager beside. I have 60 beds here. Actually, I'm much too small. I have to handle 100 or 110 students for accommodation. So I have to build up a new hotel in the next months or next years. So it's growing and growing. And this is not only in Germany. The potential is also very, very high in South Africa. So if we look to young students who like to work, who like to go into this business, they will never have problems with no work. They will ever have work and have a good future. So this is really my message to say, those who really like to go in this field, they will be happy forever.
Karsten, thank you. And it brings me to something. So we are going to wrap up now. So I'm going to go into sort of closing remarks. But I mean, we've spoken about government and we've spoken about the individuals, and then we've got industry. Okay. And so I think in South Africa, we rely very much on the private sector to drive us forward. And you mentioned that is a big aspect, it's a big success that you have the guilds. Is that right? Mm-hmm. I mean, is this something you envisage happening in South Africa? Or Karsten, are you working on a South African version of that? I know Minna has said that the expanded public works program management would appreciate this for their infrastructure programs, but I know that industry, the private sector too, who's more rapid of a mover in terms of making things happen and employment, would collaborate on this. So what are the plans there?
Yeah, just to understand also from Germany, and I know this also for Africa, you have private companies, this is also there, but of course the industry is moving this. Huh? Yeah, the industry is a big speaker, and of course maybe have close relation to the government, and the industry also describes the demand. Huh? And with this demand, you have to follow. You have to say, yeah, we need somebody for ammonia systems. We need somebody for CO2 for supermarket application. Huh? We need somebody for industrial processes. Huh? For example, here we have the whole industry behind us. Yeah, if I go to the industry, I say, hey, I'm Karsten. Yeah, hello, Karsten, and I need this and this. No problem. They know, they will give us material, and they know this is a good advertising argument to use their material, their components in our school, because many students will handle this. The master classes, which will be the next future growing up companies, we have actually 75 master students parallel in 3 different courses here. So it's of course very important to have this relation, and I know from Isolde, she has a very good relation to all the industry which is around, especially for air conditioning, refrigeration, and heat pumps. And for example, here we are an official training center for carrier. We have an extra laboratory where we will find the different components and different systems from carrier, the water chillers or split units or air handling units, where we have an extra laboratory, and carrier is inviting technicians from their own service partners, and they train this in our rooms. So we are in a very good cooperation, and I think this is very important. You cannot not only run with the private business and the trade only. No, it's very important also to have this relation to the industry and of course the support.
Sure. I have a lot of support from Danfoss and from Pizza and wherever I go, from the wholesalers. If I need something, then I always can ask them and they support us. There is no question. Especially when we did the skills competition, we got most of the material sponsored for the skills competition from the industry. We work very closely with the industry. Also, the most of my people coming from the industry on my courses.
Fantastic.
Surely I have family business also, but not so many, because it's also a question of can they afford it for their own people and in small business. That's why we structured our courses in weekly courses so they can break up, can come back on the next one again and can split it, and they can also do what they really need, can pick out the course what they really need. If they don't want the full diploma, when they need a full diploma, sure, it's always better to have that, then they must go through everything. Or if they have prior learning, then we let them do the test and see, but I want to see that they can do it. I don't sign anything off if they haven't done it or if they haven't brought me the proof that they are qualified for that.
Karla, an additional thing, maybe also from some question I see, we have our system here and we say, yeah, we speak about 3.5 years. But if we go into the world, everybody will say, hey, forget it, 3.5 years. We don't have this time. Yeah, okay. This is not the question. Of course, we have to consider the situation in South Africa. We have to consider what are the steps which is necessary. It's a question what you want to create, which kind of different curricula you will create. Will you create a curricula for 6 weeks? Will you create a curricula for half a year? Or will you create a curricula for 1 year? And what is at the end, what will you estimate for as an outcome after this time? In what way the technician should be prepared? Maybe he has, of course, it's a must to understand the main background of theory. And to understand the system, but then you can go in one way or another way, in what direction ever, and then it's a question to, if we cooperate, then it's a question, hey, look, what is the demand? And for this demand, we create a system. And then, of course, at the end, it's very helpful that from the government side, it will be accepted and maybe also supported in this way. And at the end, the young people must have a future. So they must have a good training. They must be experienced. The industry must say, yes, this is a guy we want. We can employ him. And the guy has work and is satisfied. Yeah, this is the way we have to work on. And maybe then they don't look too much to their mobile. Yeah, they think more in refrigeration and more in heat pumps and more in solar energy, whatever. Yeah, but they can use the mobile as to control the system. Therefore, it's helpful. Yeah? Forget other videos. Control your system with your mobile. It's possible.
Sure.
Fantastic.
Sure.
Yeah. No, listen, you guys are doing a great job, and I think that you mentioned it yesterday, Isolde. You said flexibility, but it's agility, right? You are staying, and you keep on speaking about being outcome based, which I find so important. I think the old school traditional learning system is very much ticking boxes and not understanding that after that, where are these people really going? How is it going to have impact for them? So I appreciate that. I don't know if you have any more closing comments, but that is pretty much up. Yes.
I just want to mention something. We don't have ticking boxes. There is no such tests.
Yeah.
A few questions maybe. We don't do that. Everybody gets fully tested on the theoretical side and on the practical side. They must build, and they must show, and they must do. And everybody is singly. There is no teamwork. They can't get some points from somebody else. It's impossible. We don't do that.
But okay. But the today future is, of course, e-learning, parallel. Yeah, so we are also fully integrated in a consortium, international consortium, where we created a tremendous e-learning potential. So parallel, we can hand out to the students a website and real alternatives for life, for as a number, .eu, and with this e-learning or with this website you can register and you have free access to e-learning material roundabout alternative revisions. But at the end, and they are fully behind Isolde, for a good technician there must be a good combination between theoretical knowledge. There you can use e-learning processes and maybe some tick boxes for self-test, etc. At the end, you need a training provider. You need somebody who is able to test you in your laboratory. Yeah, the technician must show, yes, I understand the system. I'm able to do proper maintenance and I can repair or I can build new systems. So therefore, the good combination of good theoretical background, there we can use our modern techniques and e-learning processes. And on the other hand, you cannot go out as a technician. You need to show practical experience and practical knowledge. So it must be a really good combination, and therefore we are staying for, we can say, we are living for this. I'm parallel married and I have 3 children and I'm now 3 times Opa. So also therefore I had some time, only some time, but I had this. So I'm a nice Opa, yeah, the grandfather.
Thank you, Karla. Yes.
The only problem with ticking boxes and learning in that way is memorizing. And if the people memorize, 3 weeks later they know nothing anymore, and that is the danger.
Yeah,
that's
true.
The big danger.
So we're going to end off for today. We're going to meet again, I think early next year sometime, and I'd love to explore a little bit more around how the future is going to look, Karsten. You iterated to it, but the e-learning and the virtual, what's the future of the world, and kind of this global village we now live in, where standards are, should be global and not individual countries, continents, etc. So I look forward to meeting you all again. Rory, thank you very much for your good looks and humor. Isolde, for the work that you're doing, I appreciate it, and you must be very blessed to have had the impact that you do on your work. And Karsten, thank you so much for teaching us and allowing us to share and get insights into what you do in Germany. I think it's been a very insightful, some insightful learnings there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.